Quentin Tarantino's list of almost-made movies is pretty legendary, and one of the most intriguing near misses was his shot at joining the Bond franchise with Casino Royale. But Eon Productions, the famously tight-lipped team behind Bond, weren't about to give him the reins. In the end, the project never got off the ground, and Tarantino couldn't even bring himself to watch Casino Royale, the blockbuster that would become Daniel Craig's big debut as Bond. Still, he's never stopped being a fan. Like fellow director Christopher Nolan, Tarantino grew up on a steady diet of Bond movies, and he's never been shy about voicing his opinions on what's gone down in the past, what's happening now, and what he thinks Bond's future should look like. Tarantino has a clear favorite in the Bond lineup, Sean Connery's From Russia with Love. But he's also a big believer that Pierce Brosnan delivered the definitive Bond. It's not a stretch to guess that Tarantino's dream of casting Brosnan in his own Casino Royale had something to do with that opinion. That didn't mean he held back when it came to taking down Skyfall, though. Skyfall is the only Bond movie that broke the billion-dollar mark and got instant praise as one of the best in the franchise, and audiences went wild for it. Skyfall had it all: jaw-dropping stunts, Javier Bardem as the villain dialed up to 11, and a box office run that brought in $1.1 billion worldwide against a $200 million budget. At the time, it was the second highest grossing film of 2012, only beaten out by The Avengers. A big criticism of Skyfall was its final action sequence. Fans couldn't help but compare it to Home Alone, and it's easy to see why. Instead of Bond's usual gadgets, we watched him set up traps around a house. Sure, the scene where he and Kincaid whip up explosives from random items was a nod to his old-school resourcefulness, but plenty of fans still weren't buying it. Tarantino was right there with them. He didn't just dislike the finale. He felt the Bond ethos had been betrayed by that final shootout in a cabin. That's not James fucking Bond. For him, the opening action scene in Spectre was a return to what he felt Bond should be. Now this is a James Bond movie, he said about the Day of the Dead festival sequence, which kicks things off in a truly Bondian way. And he wasn't alone in thinking Spectre brought more of the classic Bond feel, especially with the gadgets making a comeback and Christoph Waltz stepping in as a villain. A nice bonus for Tarantino, since he'd worked with Waltz before on 2 Oscar-winning performances. Still, while Spectre raked in an impressive $880 million worldwide against a $250 million budget, it didn't quite match Skyfall's record-breaking success.